So how do you create a brand that truly represents who you are and the products you sell, as well as building a business that you can scale online? That is what this podcast will help you do. My name is Henry Kaminski Jr., and welcome to the Brand Doctor Podcast.
Let me just make this statement loud and clear. Jersey's here, Jersey's here.
What is shaking, everybody? Welcome to another Brand Doctor Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about business mindset and how to get unstuck when you're just feeling like blah and business is just kind of meh, right? We've all been in those situations before, right? Where we get triggered, we start to get stuck. That hinders growth, it hinders productivity, it hinders creativity, and now we get stuck in this holding pattern, right? So I wanna introduce my man Oase Q to the house once again. What's shaking, dude?
What's up, man? How are you?
Dude, I'm having a blast. Like this week has been pretty awesome, and you and I have been talking behind the scenes now for a couple of weeks about how honestly I felt like I've been in a little bit of a slump, and I wanted to kind of address it in real time and share with you guys some of the stuff that I've been going through, because I know I'm not the only entrepreneur out there that gets in slumps. And I'm going to share with you some ways that I was able to help kind of get out of this thought process and in this holding pattern of complacency, and what I've been doing in the past couple of days, and I would say a week and a half to get me into more of a productive mindset. And so we'll get into this right after this quick little message. If you're a business owner who feels your branding isn't truly representing the value that you deliver, check out this free video training that will help you level up your brand's messaging and online presence so that you can start attracting higher quality clients. Visit www.uniquedesigns with a Z at the end, not an S, .net/level up my branding. And so before we get started, guys, we are recording this live. So for those folks that are watching live, if you have questions, comments, please interact with us today and enjoy the conversation with us. So I just wanted to get that out there. So, Oase, have you ever been stuck? Have you ever gotten to a funk before inside of your business and in life where you just feel like, oh God, how am I going to get out of this? And what made this happen in the first place?
And we talk about this so often. I mean, if business was just an upward trend the entire way, man, that would be the ideal situation, right?
And everybody would have a business.
Exactly, and everyone would have a business. No one would go and work a 9-to-5, right? But that's not the case. And more times than any, you're going to struggle and you're going to run into issues that weren't necessarily expected. And so, yeah, I mean, when you ask me if I've been stuck, man. All the time.
Tons of, yeah. Right? It's not just a one and done thing, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And more importantly, Henry, sometimes it's just a mind game. Sometimes a lot of it is in your head rather than what's going on externally. It's like how you process some of these setbacks that might show up, whether it be, you're expecting a project to come to fruition. Maybe you've got certain expectations in the types of numbers that you're wanting to hit in the next quarter, and that's not showing up, or 2 or 3 members of your team have just now quit on you. All of those things, right?
Dude.
Or a client just fired you.
And
out of nowhere, they just, yeah.
And sometimes it all happens at once. Then what?
Yeah.
Right. It all happens. And then you're really like, what the hell do I do? Right. So I wanted to talk to you guys today about some of the things that have been going on, real time, and kind of just get vulnerable with you guys. It's been historically the case in my business where the first 2 quarters are pretty slow, right? And the end of the fourth quarter is pretty slow with the holidays, right? So there's a few months there that we go with potentially no new work, right? And what happens is I get in my head so bad because for you guys that know me for some time, like I'm always on the go. Like I'm always doing something. I'm always creating something. I'm always building something. I always want to stay in motion. And so when I get like slow times in my life, like I'm always like, well, what could I be doing? What should I be doing? Is there something wrong? Right. And this like insecurity and this self-consciousness starts to kick in, and it's freaking, it drains you, and it takes all the power away from you. And I've learned over the years to get better at this, right? How to maintain and like how to take that mindset and regulate it, right? Because it's very quick. You could fall into a slump like that and start thinking crazy thoughts really, really fast, which could lead to missed opportunities. It could lead to poor quality work output, right? Horrible relationships with family and friends and potential business collaborations and so on, right? And I've been listening to a lot of Dan Sullivan lately. If you guys don't know who Dan Sullivan is, he's the founder of Strategic Coach. I'm not in the program yet, but I'm considering it for 2022 very much. And he talks about gaps and gains. And I think he wrote this book about, I don't know if it's out yet or if it's about to come out, but it's called Gaps and Gains or something along those lines, right? And this podcast I've been listening to, he talks about gaps and what gaps are. And gaps are like the low moments in your life and in your business. And the gains are like the high moments, right? And understanding that every entrepreneur is going to have both, right? Yeah. But he talks about how when you get into a gap, you got to address it and get out of there like as soon as you can, right? The faster you can get out of a gap, the quicker you're going to start gaining again, right? And so there was a few things over the past couple of weeks that I was looking at, and very much the case when I get into a gap state of mind, I lose focus on my goals. I lose focus on my goals. I lose focus on my vision. I lose focus on the purpose. And that's what drops me into a gap. So when I get in there, I say, okay, wait a second. Why do I feel this way? And I start to realize, oh, wow, you're not paying attention to your goals. Or when's the last time you read your goals? I do my goals every year, right after Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's. I'm writing goals for the entire next year, right? So I whip them out and I start looking at them and I start realizing, oh, look at this. This is why you're in this gap, because you took your eye off the ball. It's like very simple stuff, right? And when I recalibrate and I get realigned with my goal, it's like, boom. I don't even realize I'm in a gap anymore because I'm so focused on that goal, right? And that focus pulls me out and up. And so that's the whole concept of gaps and gains. And, listening to this podcast with Dan, I think it's called Multiplier Mindset. Pretty cool podcast. He has all these people that are in Strategic Coach basically giving testimonies of the program, which I think is brilliant. Yeah. Right. But what's really cool is listening to these entrepreneurs talk about how the programs help them, where they were struggling. I'm doing a lot of R&D listening to this podcast because I want to get into the minds of these types of folks, because these folks are high frequency, high level entrepreneurs that are all about movement and upward growth, and, you know, really serious about building a business that is sustainable, and that it's long-term game here. We're not talking about get rich quick people in these programs. These people are like legit. And one of the concepts that Dan talks about is this hiring who's and stop worrying about the hows. And I think where a lot of us get into these gaps in our business and we get stuck is when we start to focus too much on how are we going to get all this done? How are we going to be able to pull that off? And what the book suggests, that the book Who Not How, what the book suggests is that you find who's for everything in your life. And I realized something. I was like, the answers are right there. To get through this is right there. I just have to find the right person to help me get through this, right? And so I think tying this back to branding and tying this back to strategy and tying this back to building and growing an audience online is, you trying to do this all by yourself is going to be exhausting. You finding somebody to help you is going to be a hell of a lot more fun and energizing and productive. And so I wanted to get your thoughts on this hiring the who concept, because that is the number one. I think that is the number one thing entrepreneurs get stuck on, is trying to figure out how to do everything, especially when it comes to the tech side of thing. Oh, I could just crank out a WordPress site. There's templates out there. I could just, plug and play, and then the freaking website looks like a Frankenstein.
My nephew studied marketing in college, so he can crank that out. He does a little bit of graphics design.
I literally thought you were going into a story, but I see you're being sarcastic now. Yeah, my daughter knows Photoshop. She can just do it for me. We kid, but I've seen it 1,000 times, right? I've seen it 1,000 times. There's another thing too that I want to share with you guys and help you guys understand a little something. Like, I was listening to this podcast the other day, and he was talking about how when he started his business, he worked corporate for 20 years. And when he started his business, he didn't realize how cyclical business is. Right. And he talked about how, he just didn't understand how you could make 50 grand one month and 10 the next, and 30 grand the next month, and 18 the next. And he just didn't understand that flow, and I was like, wow, that is so true. Like, when I would get freaked out over quiet months, I would be like, oh my God, what am I doing wrong? There may be nothing that you're doing wrong. And it's just this, there's a time in business to reap, and there's a time in business to sow. And what I realized over the years is quarter one, quarter two, and the end of quarter four are my reaping. That's when I'm harvesting the farm, right? I'm really planting the harvest there. I'm going deep into, I'm refining processes. I'm doing a hell of a lot of content creation, things like that, right? And then quarter three, like, I'm typically busy. That's when all the clients come, right? And so I could look at it, right? This is something that I wanted to share. You could look at it and be like, oh, woe is me. This business must suck. I must not be any good because I'm not busy those times of year. And I've seen competitors that are just as busy at that are busy at those. And that's such a crock of shit, right? Instead, I look at it like this, and this hit me in the gym the other day. I said, Henry, who's got it better than you? Bro, you work 3 months out of the year hard, and the rest of the year, you're doing what you love. Doing podcasts with this handsome guy here. You're going on interviews, you're creating content, you're doing live stream collaborations with other awesome people. Like, who's got it better? Who could say they work 3 months out of the year and the rest of the year they're doing shit that they love to do? Completely changed my perspective on my whole business.
Yeah.
Completely got me unstuck from me thinking I wasn't good anymore, to thinking, dude, you're freaking one of the best people that do this stuff. Business is business, and business is cyclical, and you have to understand that. And the better you understand that and the better perspective you have on it, you're going to figure out what to do with that time now more efficiently. And that's where you bring in the who's. So for example, I was thinking about this on my walk this morning. It's been about 13 months being in this pandemic. And when the pandemic hit, I cut a lot of my nice to haves, like the SEO and a lot of the admin support. Like, I wasn't doing all my YouTube optimization. I had somebody doing it all for me, right? But I cut all that when COVID hit, because I was like, we got to just tighten up for a little bit. Well, it hit me this morning. It's time to bring in those who's again. It's time to reinstate them, because the more time you can get back by hiring who's, the more money you're going to make. So we're going to have a meeting on Monday with the team, and my lead project manager is going to bring in the admin team that was working on all the optimization stuff, and they're going to start doing it instead of me anymore. All right. The other thing that I'm going to start to do is focus on optimizing my content distribution. Right? Content distribution needs to be tightened up on our end. Like, we have tons of content going out, but it's not getting sent to my email list consistently. It's not being posted consistently, and that's bad in my eyes. Like, when a podcast gets dropped, it should trigger a series of events, and that all should be done automated or with someone in place. I shouldn't be doing it. And so that's going down next week, which I'm super excited about. And so we have a question here from one of our live audience members here. Let's talk about it. I didn't even preview it yet. I just throw it up there. So what if we know that doing it ourselves is not the best way for the greater result, but the budget doesn't allow it for us to hire the who? I'm at the point where a little sacrifice might be the best move for this project. Oasis, you want to lean into that?
Yeah. So if you can extract 1 or 2 hours instead of hiring someone full time, right? I had this exact same problem in my early years. It's like, okay, well, I can't get someone on full time, but what if I can contract this out? And like, let's say some of the administrative work. Mm-hmm. If I can contract that out for maybe 1 or 2 hours to someone that can accomplish that in 1 or 2 hours when it's taking me 5 hours, that's the main thing. What is that going to do with my 5 hours now?
It's like the mowing the lawn analogy. And I've used this a couple of times in different episodes and things. But like, I can mow my own lawn. Take me about 40 minutes to do. Right? Or I could hire my guy and have him do it. My if I had to break my hourly rate down, it's somewhere upwards of $2,500, right? So if I'm out there mowing the lawn, I'm not making $2,500, and whatever it costs to mow a lawn these days, $50-$70 depending on a lawn like this, right? I'm completely putting myself in a position that isn't high value, right? Now, I love my landscaper, don't get me wrong. He does a beautiful job, so I'm not knocking landscapers. We need you guys, otherwise we would look like we live in a rainforest here. So I love all you guys, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, this is me personally speaking, right? My value is much better used here on this live stream than it is me mowing my lawn, right? This book, Who Not How, which I highly recommend you get. There's something that is said about, there's a guy that stopped driving. He stopped driving because he was more productive being driven. So he basically hired a driver, or he used Uber. I forget what it said in the book. And he gets driven everywhere. And while he's being driven to places, he's able to get more done. Like that's an extreme case, but that's a real live example of, so he's asking, Peter's talking about a little sacrifice might be the best move for this project. Listen, when I first started, I didn't have what I have today, but I always knew that I would. And that's powerful. You have to really envision what it is that you want. Every car that's in my garage, this house, the vacations we've been on, it's going on 14 years. Me and my wife have been together, 10 years married this year. And my wife said, Sunday's our anniversary of our relationship. We should do something. And I said, yeah, let's go to the city. We'll go to New York. We'll have a nice dinner. We'll bring Dante with us and we'll have a lot of fun. And so we're sitting there and she said, man, we really experienced a lot together over the past 14 years. Good, the bad, the ugly. And I said, yeah. How do you think that happened? Well, we envisioned it. We saw it. And in the beginning, we didn't have this kind of money. We didn't have these kind of opportunities. We didn't have these experiences, but we dreamt of them and they became a reality. I'll share with you something that Dean Graziosi said to me on my podcast. I had him on, when was it? Beginning of this year or beginning of last year, I think. I forget. It's a blur these days. And I said, what do you say to the entrepreneur dad? And I was talking about myself, who has a new family member, has a son who's young and is afraid to take risks because, there's a lot more at stake these days. It's not like we don't have a child. There's not an extra mouth to feed. Like I can't take these major risks anymore. And he says, Henry, how do you want your son to view you as he gets older? And I said, as a role model, as somebody who will be there through thick and thin. And he said, imagine he sees you not taking risks. Imagine he sees you playing it safe your whole life. And now he grows up. What do you think that's going to do for him? Is that going to help him or hinder him become the man you want him to be or he wants to be, or help him become a responsible human being? And he said, you might have to dial back on a car. You might have to downsize in a house. You might have to, but it's temporary. Because what your son is eventually going to see is a father that gets shit done. Yeah, my father might have had to do this or that, but now look at us. So, yes, it stings. I've been in those situations where I had to sell back personal belongings and downsize on a car and all that stuff. But I realized, man, look what it helped me do long term. Look at what it helped me do long term. So just knowing that it's temporary, right? You got to have that mentality. Like, this isn't forever. This is a blip on the radar versus the big picture. Got it, Waze.
Play the long game. Play the long game and make sure that, again, you got to make those short-term sacrifices. Yeah. Accept that you're going to be making sacrifices regardless, whether it be the short-term or the long-term. Mm-hmm. But always have that long-term vision. It's not, if especially for the younger generation, the younger entrepreneurs out there that are trying to get into either this industry or wherever they're going. Mm-hmm. Lose the microwave mentality.
What's the microwave mentality?
The microwave mentality is, hey,
instant gratification.
Let's put that plate in there. Yeah, instant gratification.
Yeah.
So I like to call that microwave mentality because you put the plate in, and within 30 seconds you've got warm food, right? Or within a minute you've got warm food, instead of warming it on the stove and having 10 extra steps there.
Yeah.
So long-term mentality is going to win. Short-term, there's just going to be a high risk.
When you look short-term, everything feels so much heavier, so much bigger, so much more of a heart attack, right?
Yeah.
When you zoom out,
be discouraging.
Exactly. But when you zoom out and you're like, holy, we got so much more runway here than I thought. It kind of just relaxes you. I can't speak for everybody. I'm just speaking for myself, right? But it puts me at ease. Like, okay, let's get back to the basics. Let's get back to the basics. What worked in the past? Why might it not work now? And what adjustments do we make to make that happen?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And start breaking it apart.
That's it.
Start breaking that vision apart.
That's it. And honestly, I just got off of a podcast interview about an hour ago, and the question was asked, well, what do you say to the people that have to bootstrap things? I got no qualms about telling people you got to, like, listen, I built funnels for 5 years before I built my team, and now I don't have to do that anymore. So you got to put in that work, right? But put in that work as fast as possible so that you can create the revenue to just delegate that task out. Your goal is to get out from that do-it-yourself task as soon as possible. So the reason why the rich get richer is because they take their money and they reinvest it. They reinvest it in things that are going to help them make more money, right? And that's people, right? I asked this question yesterday in an Instagram story. You're not a brander. You're not a designer. You're not a marketer. Why are you branding? Why are you designing? And why are you trying to do all your marketing by yourself? The minute you can delegate those tasks, do it and pay it. Just pay it. Find the person that you love, you trust, you like, and just write the check. Send the PayPal. Make the deposit. Because as long as you stay in your high value tasks, right? And you stay in your zone of greatness, or what do they call it? Something genius, zone of genius.
Yeah.
You're going to catapult your growth, right? It's when you get stuck doing shit that you don't love to do, everything slows down. Everything. Right? So we just graduated another brand accelerator client this week. It's a bittersweet because I love working with these guys. They're 19 and 20 years old. Invested in brand strategy. I don't know about you always, but when I was 19 or 20, I wasn't thinking about business, but I wasn't thinking about dropping high five figures to do brand strategy, but these guys did. And they came out on top because they're already implementing the strategy that I've told them. And we graduated 3 days ago. But one of the things he said, I said, why did you invest in this? Right? There's plenty of other things you could have done with this kind of money. And they said, our business was in this just stagnant position. We needed a marketing strategy. We needed a funnel strategy. We needed a plan of attack. And you were the guy to help us guide through it. And, your experience and everything and so on. And he said, and then the other partner said, we had all of these ideas, but we had no freaking idea how to implement it. And God forbid we tried to do it on our own. We'd be up Schitt's Creek. So he's like, now we have the blueprint that all we have to do is follow the damn instructions. I mean, I map it out for you so freaking definitively. Like my son could rock it out. Right. And so now it's just, it's up to them. They're a creative team. They're a creative firm. So, they don't need me for a lot of the design work. They have that capability. So I just said, here's your blueprint, get to work. Right. And so
it's like, I always try to explain it as, let's say you bought some sort of a computer desk and it doesn't come with any instructions and you still try to assemble that computer desk. There's chances that you might completely, you might finish it up, but it's a little wobbly. You're like, okay, we'll get it done. The bottom shelf is now your top and your top is right?
It's got 3 legs.
It's got 3 legs. It's working. You might have to put it up against the corner to support it a little bit. But don't put anything heavy because everything might fall. Yeah. Right.
It's a great point.
So why are you going to do the exact same thing? You're going to try to run your entire marketing and sales without a blueprint.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. And you know what? If I had one wish in the world, it would be that I could go back in time and in year 2 of my business implemented this conversation versus year 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Cause that's a long time. It's a really long time, and so, now it's to the point now where we're not, this message really isn't for the people that are just starting out. It's for the people that have momentum, but they get triggered by something like we mentioned before, and that everything goes to a screeching halt, and they're trying to figure out how to rekindle, restart, refuel. And that's the message that I want to share with you guys today, and use myself as an example. That, there was some slowdown in my mindset over the past couple of weeks. And now that I have a different perspective on my business and who I want to serve and how I'm going about serving them, I just got completely re-energized, and the collaborations and the opportunities are like pouring in. So now I'm to the point now where I have to pick and choose what project I want to take on, because I can't take them all on. I can't. So, it's a beautiful thing. But had I stayed in that gappy mentality of woe is me and I can't afford this and I'll never be able to do this because of that, that's not when greatness is created. You can't stay in that mentality and create greatness. It doesn't work. It's like being, what did they say? It's like being happy and sad at the same time. It's impossible. Yeah. So I didn't realize we're going for 34 minutes, so we're going to wrap up. But, any parting words about this topic of getting unstuck?
Yeah. It seemed like we were talking about a lot about the right people in the right seats. Mm-hmm. In terms of, accomplishing certain tasks. But getting stuck, like when you hit the wall, even from a from a mental perspective. I mean, have coaches in place, have a peer group in place.
Yeah.
I literally, right before this call, Henry, I was on a call I was in a 2-hour call with a CFO that's part of my peer group. And he just completely set a lot of things in perspective in terms of how my discovery calls should take place in terms of talking about specific numbers. Even if that prospect is not talking about numbers, talk about it in percentages. And it was just, I was like, this is the final missing piece of the puzzle. How does that work, right? And like you were saying, man, I wish we were having this type of a conversation 5-6 years ago. Well, guess what? You've had to approach specific coaches. You've gone through coaching yourself. You talk a lot about that story, right? So getting help along the way, and then finally things start to take place. Finally, these small little pieces of puzzles just start to come together.
And that's the beauty of it all. That's the beauty of it all. And that's the beauty of coaching too. I heard this today on my walk. The guy was talking about coaching, and he said, I played sports as a kid, and I'm very familiar with coaching. And he said, when I got into business, coaching was great for me, not to the point where the coach was like teaching me new stuff, like teaching me new strategy. Where he got the value out of a coach was the consistent push.
Wow.
The consistent push. The, hey, get up. We don't got time for this. Let's go. Right? And there's a lot to be said about that. And that's why, you have a coach. I have a coach. My coach has a coach. That coach has a coach. and it just goes up and up and up. And
I got to keep them focused.
And that's
clear line of sight.
That's what keeps us focused. Now, you can get, at one point in my life, I had coaches for a couple different categories in my life. One being mindset, one being business, one being relationship. I went through, my wife and I both went through marriage counseling together for like 2 years. And so we didn't look at it as a therapy. We looked at it as a coach, right? And that's why we enjoyed it. We really did. We enjoyed it a lot. It really strengthened our marriage considerably, especially through some of the darker times. And that was the push that we needed at that moment to get us through that. And so that's the power of getting unstuck. Imagine having that guidance and that support, right? All the time. Like that's the power that's the power of being coached and being coachable. Big one there. And just learning, just knowing that this is part of the process. And the quicker you can find somebody to help you with your deficiencies, the quicker you're going to win. So if you're branding and you're not a brander, stop it. If you're building funnels and you're not tech savvy and you know nothing about funnels other than, what Russell has been preaching the past couple of years, don't build funnels. Hire your boy. Let's get it done in 30 days and get you making money. Stop. It's going to be another 6 months until you figure it out and start to hire somebody, right? Like, don't do that. Like, I hate a prospect come in and 3 months later they hit me up and they say, let's have a talk again because I'm ready. Man, I get it. Maybe it was bad timing. Maybe it was. But what could have happened? Say you pulled the trigger 3 months ago. What could have happened between that time and now? Probably a hell of a lot more than what did.
That's right. And
that's something that I strongly want to emphasize because we've all done it. I've pushed back too. It's not, I'll get back to you. And then I look back and I go, son of a bitch, I should have done it 3 months ago. I'd been freaking so far ahead from where I'm at right now. So now I know when I feel that, I go right in. Let's go. Let's get it done. I'm not thinking about it one more second. And I truly believe, Oase, that is how I got my business to where it's at today. That mindset, that doer mentality. So
stay proactive.
That's it. Guys, have an amazing day. Real quick, for those folks that are watching live, take a screenshot of this, or if you're listening to this on a podcast, screenshot this episode, tag us in our Instagram stories, and we will reshare it and show you some love. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to leave a review. And don't forget to give me some feedback. I would love to know more topics of conversation that you'd like us to address on the show. And any questions you may have, hit me up. I'm here to help. I'm here to serve. I'm here to get you to where you want to be a hell of a lot faster than you doing it by yourself. Have an amazing day, and I'll catch you on the next episode real soon. Bye-bye.
Hey everyone, this is Henry Kaminski Jr. again, and really quick, I want to invite you to a one-on-one consult with me right now if you're looking for the clarity and focus you need to build your brand. Over the past 13 years, I've served hundreds of entrepreneurs that have great products but struggled tremendously with articulating its value to their ideal customers. You didn't get into business to just change a few lives, did you? Your ideal clients need you. And when your brand has precision-crafted messaging coupled with beautifully thoughtful design that sounds, looks, and feels like you, they'll know you're the perfect match for them. If this is something you're struggling with, what I want you to do right now is pause this audio and go visit www.uniquedesigns with a Z at the end, not an S, .net, and book your one-on-one consult call with me. Remember, the quality of your brand will determine the quality of your clients, and the quality of your clients will determine the quality of your life.